All right, guys. Happy New Year, part two. Um, recording this on January the 3rd. Diego, how was your break? How was your Christmas? How was your New Year?
It was nice. Definitely relaxing. Definitely needed it after kind of a long, not super long, but just it's been a stretch since Thanksgiving. Had a lot of stuff at work, but we're chilling now. So happy and refreshed for the new year.
Oh, refresh is definitely my mindset. I'm still catching up because I'm missing the California weather right now. It was
Oh
absolutely
yeah.
beautiful in San Diego. So when having that weather was definitely nice. A lot of beaches. Gambled a little bit in Las Vegas. Think I
Oh,
might start going into sports betting. I don't know if I want to bet basketball games though. So
it is
I
tough.
mean,
It's just unpredictable.
yeah, like the nice thing about sports betting is like you'll find out like which players are healthy
Hmm.
when the bets come out.
Yeah.
So that's really nice. But I just feel like one thing I was looking forward to bet was the Pistons winning because I knew they'd win at some point. So I'd
Hmm.
probably cash out at some point. But I didn't get a chance to bet when they beat the Raptors this week. So we'll talk more about them soon. But
Yep.
definitely something I personally got interested in after my trip. I gotta watch myself though. So
Yeah.
with that, welcome guys. Finally bringing you another NBA episode. We were off a little bit to give ourselves some time to rethink, refocus the podcast. We're going to see a lot more active updates on this channel as we get deeper in the season. Right now, the Bulls still haven't scored in 3 minutes of play. Um,
Jeez.
New look Knicks are up 7-0, and Jalen Brunson is patiently dicing up our defense. And wait, we got a turnover. Okay, cool. So that's my game update. Do you have any games playing in the background?
I have Mavs, Mavs, Blazers.
Okay,
Very
the
needed
Mavs winning.
for us. I mean, we're up by 8, 13 to
Okay,
5.
it's pretty
Yeah, so
healthy. Yep, still a lot
yeah,
of ball to be played. But
for
um,
sure.
speaking of the Mavs, they went up against the Suns on Christmas Day. I know you were really hyped and had
Yep.
a lot to share about this. So fire away,
Yeah.
Diego. Let's hear what you got.
So I think the big thing was just, happy to beat the Suns in a big nationally televised game. Kind of back to given Game 7 of the 2022 Western Conference semifinals vibes. It was definitely not. Well, we didn't clap them like that, like back then, but it was still a good game. Um, I would just say the biggest thing for me was the fact that even though they would double Luca, I feel like everyone else still did their part as well. Um, Although Grant Williams really been not playing well recently, it's been good that guys like Dante Exum, Derek Jones Jr. has stepped up in a way that I feel like we've talked about it before, but he's just got a way of attacking closeouts that's really, really special. And especially, we all know him as a dunk contest champion. And so he just uses that athleticism and ability to just literally any guy that isn't for sure a rim protector, he's just gonna jump at them and then just drop the ball right over the rim, and it's an easy layup. So
Wow.
it was very nice. Grayson Allen absolutely cooked, which was so scary, but in the end, it didn't really matter. And the fact that we beat them without Kyrie. Now they didn't have Bradley Beal, but I feel like Bradley Beal on the Suns doesn't mean as much as Kyrie does to these Mavs. So it's something to think about. But Devin Booker kind of laid an egg as well, so that wasn't really helpful for them. But yeah, I mean, big one thing I was really happy about is at the end of the game, you got some Luca MVP mentions, which like we all know he's cooking. In the month of December, he averaged 39.5 like no points per game, and it was like almost 40 minutes a game. And so I don't know. I feel like I don't hear a lot of MVP conversations about him. So please spread the discourse, everyone. Luca MVP. Gotta get that kind of be a conversation at least.
I don't know whether it's impressive or whether I'm supposed to be disappointed in you, man. You rambled on for 2.5 minutes,
Yeah,
and you did not mention that Luka Doncic had 50 points and 15 assists.
this is true.
And any of that analysis, what's going on, Diego? What's
I don't
going on?
know. I want. We all knew. I know everyone's seen all of the hype of the Luca Christmas special. That actually got him, I think, second or third in all time Christmas Day
Wait, the Lucas
scoring.
special? This is another Lucas special that's going on here?
Nah, just a Christmas special. This is a,
This is the good Lucas special.
yeah, yes.
Gotcha.
But ooh, fun factoid is the past 2 years, in 2021, no, 2022, the Warriors beat the Suns on Christmas to then win the finals. And then last year, the Nuggets beat the Suns on Christmas to win the finals. So if anything, if this just correlates 1 to 1, Mavs won the finals. You heard it here first. Not I heard it on a tweet. So, but this could happen, and I'm very excited. But yeah, no, Luca really showed off what he could do. No one on the Suns could stop him. And I mean, like Josh Okogie, their best defender, just had no chance. And from there, I was like, this is pretty in hand. We just gotta kind of do our thing. But yeah, no, he played a great game. Yeah, I enjoyed watching that game. That was my Christmas present from the NBA.
Sorry, I got distracted.
Oh, you're good.
Bulls made a mini comeback. They're down by 2 now. So,
Ooh,
um,
that's interesting.
crisis averted. But on that note, well said with your analysis. I think Luka's been a one man offense for this team, but
Yeah.
like seeing Derek Lively um, chip in with a double double, 20 points, 10 rebounds. I think
Hmm.
he had 10 rebounds. Yes, yep. And Timothy Hardaway added 18 points. That's good to see.
Yeah.
I think what's more impressive to me, given that the Suns are deeper and have more bigs than the
Oh yeah.
Mavericks, in my opinion, was Dallas going on the 17-4 run in the fourth quarter
Yeah.
after trailing the trailing the Suns. I think that stood out to me, like that they're not afraid of like contending teams in their conference, which is a stronger conference when you
Oh, for
think
sure.
about how the West has fared against the East this year,
Hmm.
um, which really says a lot. And I think they did do a lot to force Devin Booker and Kevin Durant to spread the ball around. I think they held them to a combined like 25 shots in total.
Yeah.
And I know you mentioned Booker had his off night, but that's pretty impressive. You can limit the amount of times they could damage you because
Yeah.
basically what you're saying is the maximum amount of points it can score is 75 on like 25 shots. So what that means is like somebody else has to go in and chip in.
Hmm.
And that happened to be Allen in this case, but you will live with that as a
Yeah.
Mavericks fan because the thing is like once Kevin Durant like and Devin Booker get going, and I forget if Beal played in this game or not,
No, he did not.
but
He was still injured.
yeah, but like if two of those guys are firing on all cylinders, the rest of the team like is gonna go off
Yeah.
because of the gravitational pull they have as star players. So see this, I would be very happy if I'm a Mavericks fan. It shows like they have the capability to play teams deep in the playoffs with this lineup. So
Hmm.
um yeah, like Booker had a lot of assists, and even though he had 20 points, like I think the
Wasn't
effectiveness and the
efficient.
amount
Yeah.
of opportunities he got to capitalize on it was limited, and that's kind of the defense you're looking for.
Yeah. And other big thing is aside from aside from Derek Lively, we're obviously really small, but the way he's been playing, the way he gets really deep in the paint, and he's really, I don't want to say mastered, but he's really gotten a hang of this hook shot, kind of deep in the paint, just one kind of little move, and he's in there, and it's a very good shot, and I'm very he's been playing really well. Besides the game against Cleveland, which was painful, like the next game after this one, he he missed a pass. We still had the ball, and we went to a timeout, and this was I think in the fourth. But after that point, for like 4 minutes, we just didn't score after that. So there's some stuff like he's obviously still he's 19, still a rookie, but the way he's been playing and affecting the game for us has been huge. So I've been enjoying that. Derek Lively has been doing his thing, especially for my fantasy team as well. So been very helpful.
That's what matters. That's what matters.
It is.
Um, Another guy who's been doing his thing and absolutely tore apart my Bulls yesterday was Joel Embiid.
Yeah.
Um, just a reminder, he's an absolute monster. Even though he might not be deserving of the MVP that Jokic was last season,
Yeah.
he's still like a he's leading the league in scoring. He's an absolute like menace to deal with now.
Hmm.
And like the stark contrast to the Bulls winning without Embiid on the floor to them getting absolutely dismantled basically the entire game when
Yeah.
he was on the floor was a stark contrast to again when I talk about the gravitational pull that Embiid has um, as a star player. That's also well, I meant to say gravitational pull of a star player. That
Yeah.
also applies to Embiid.
Hmm.
And I just there's one play I remember where Embiid is getting guarded by Drummond, and I think it's either Kobe White or somebody comes in to help.
Hmm.
Embiid looks at the guy like coming from because Embiid's on the wing. He's like posting
Okay.
up.
Yeah.
Like he starts to pivot towards the middle of the court, right in front of where like Kobe White's about to cut him off. And I was
Hmm.
like, I see you, but I'm gonna just spin the other way and just fade away. And
Yeah.
he's always been doing that. But like when he's hitting fadeaway shots like that, like with the touch and the arc that he hits on it, it's the precision of Embiid where it's like when he's going like that, there's nothing you can do.
No. Yeah.
And in that game in particular, I just remember like the Sixers finding open shooters, Maxi going off like as his usual doing, and then did you see like Tobias Harris like go like like Batum was like had his moments like the water just broke the dam at that point, and it
Yeah.
was just like, what do you do? What
Hmm.
you can't do anything. So, um, like this Sixers team, I think is starting to find themselves again now that he's healthy and he's coming back. But man, oh man, they're gonna be a tough out.
Yeah. I mean, just Embiid, like you said, the gravity of Embiid, and a big thing. I watched a game while Embiid was out before this, where it was like the Heat against the Sixers, and Tyrese Maxey had almost no points in the first half because like you see a lot of their plays is Maxey kind of sitting there around Embiid, one pass away, just waiting for his guy to help, and then he's wide open. So it makes his life infinitely easier. Tobias Harris's life easier. So it's definitely huge his effect on that team. He is that team, obviously. I mean, the Sixers had to go through the process for him, so it's
Yeah,
definitely
I mean that was funny. But
yeah.
when you see, I think there's a little bit of this because like Maxi can be good. Like he obviously had his blow up games like early in the
Hmm.
season,
Yeah.
but I matured around him to the point where it's like when he plays off of Embiid, he's like unstoppable.
Hmm.
Like, and sometimes it's like you mentioned, it's like a catch and shoot opportunity, or
Hmm.
like even if he's like moving around and like getting the ball off handoffs or like turning the corner on guys off the dribble, he's still like really good at that because of the athleticism and the speed that he does it. But without Embiid, it's an entirely different story because with a defensively focused team like the Heat, they know how to cut him off.
Yeah.
Like he's probably faster than Jimmy Butler, but Jimmy knows exactly where he's gonna go, and so like that's an example of like a defender that can get the better of Maxi,
Oh,
and he's not at that stage where like he can go against anybody and like hold his own offensive.
no, yeah.
Embiid is that guy right there.
I just remember that was the Christmas game that Embiid missed
Hmm.
against the Heat.
Right. Yep. So, I mean, another quick update. Usually I don't do this so much, but I think Anunoby had 2 points and two fouls already.
Oh, dang.
So he's not much of a factor this game, but
Who are they
um,
playing? I forgot.
the
Who?
Knicks, they're facing the Bulls.
Oh, right, right, right,
Yeah.
right.
Yep. So I think right now it's a 24-20 game. I think if I'm
All
reading
right.
that scoreboard right. Yep. So
Yeah.
nip and tuck game. Yeah, I. It's pretty impressive to see what the Bulls are doing without Levine as a fan.
Oh,
Um,
true.
but going to the trade, OG Anunoby goes to the Knicks. I think the Raptors get RJ Barrett, and
Yep.
then they also get Emmanuel quickly. So, what
Hmm.
did you think of the move? I think it's paying off personally, but what did you can start at both sides or like what this means for the Knicks?
I guess I'll start with the Knicks. I mean, the Knicks get kind of the premier wing defender in the league that everyone's been just like frothing at the mouth over. The Mavs included. Like that would be great, but everyone's wanted OG Anunoby, and the Knicks got him. And the fact that they got him means that like this is the best offer the Raptors think they could get for him, and they get young players, which is kind of what they need, right? OG Anunoby's kind of off that timeline. He's like old. I mean, I think he was there when he won their 2019 championship. So I think it's big, and especially because this first game, they beat the best team in the West, the Timberwolves. So it's very interesting, and the way he can kind of not clamp up Karl Anthony Towns, but he was giving Karl Anthony Towns some good defense. So it's very interesting, very big trade for them, especially without bigs. They also got Precious Achua in this trade, who isn't a tall big like say Mitchell Robinson or Isaiah Hartenstein, but a guy that's gonna hustle, a guy that's really athletic and muscular. So definitely good for them.
I like him. He brings
Mhm.
a physical presence
I
to.
think he can shoot too. I have like the slightest feeling he can shoot.
I have
So
no idea about his shooting game, but like when I've seen him play on the defensive end, I like him. He
mhm.
reminds me of like a bigger Torian Prince.
Yeah,
I see
yeah.
him play, but I have no idea like what his shooting is like to make that complete comparison.
He
But
actually started on the Heat, which is interesting. Kind of some
ooh,
Heat culture origin backstory.
okay, did not know that.
Yeah.
Um, Personally, I think it was good
hmm
for the Knicks. Um, it's kind of like one of those moves where like you don't want to let go of quickly,
hmm
but like I think the return on like what this does to like the front end of your roster is good. I'm curious to see how they stack up against teams like obviously the Celtics and the
Oh
Sixers when
yeah.
fully healthy. Um, we'll see what happens. I doubt it's gonna help them like tremendously against like the Celtics because then it's like how does Julius Randle look against the play? Like that's kind
Yeah.
of like OG Anunoby is not like a a guy where you're like he can be a secondary option to Brunson, and that slides Julius
Oh
Randle to the third
yeah.
option. Like offensively, Julius Randle's still like the next closest thing to the centerpiece, like Brunson.
hmm
And when I take a look at that, it's like I think the Knicks' ceiling is like third seed,
Yeah.
but I don't I'm afraid of putting them up there without like just like completely disrespecting the Celtics like that, you know?
Yeah, it's kind of tough because I mean, you would assume like OG's guarding Jason Tatum, the best player, offensive player on the other team, and then you put Julius Randle on Kristaps Porzingis makes his life really difficult, and especially with how the Celtics don't like to, or they what they like to do is kind of have weird matchups that kind of test the defense on the other end. So, uh, yeah, I mean, it's gonna be interesting when they do play.
Like
I'm
even the
excited
Bucks
for
will
it.
be difficult because like it's
hmm
like you can't contain Giannis and like Damian
Dame.
Lillard at the same time, you
Yeah.
know? So it's also one of those questions of how are they gonna go up against the Bucks defensively too? Like
Yeah.
those are two factors where I see the Knicks still having problems with. Like it's a step in the right direction, don't get me wrong, but I don't think my projection of what the Knicks' ceiling has changed by leaps and bounds because of this move. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying?
Yeah. I would just say for the Bucks at least, like I don't know if I'd be too worried about if I was playing the Bucks as the Knicks, I would worry more about scoring than defending because their defense, especially their like perimeter defense, has been really difficult. I was just watching before this the Pacers Bucks game, and the Pacers have been losing, or the Pacers have been beating the Bucks. I think this if they win it tonight, it might be the third, or for sure the second straight time that they beat them this
Oh,
season.
wow.
So yeah, I mean, I just like especially in the in-season tournament when I watched like Tyrese Halliburton just go off. Like, would Tyrese Halliburton go off if Drew Holiday's on that team instead of Damian Lillard? Like, it's like they're completely hypothetical questions that don't matter, but it's like it's in there. It's like a little voice in the back of my head, just like what would it be like if they hadn't made that trade? It's, it's just
Yeah,
interesting.
I guess I'm talking about like the bigs on the Bucks
Yeah.
because like the identity of the Bucks is like you. you don't want to drive it against too much because they have
Mhm.
like Lopez, they have like
Yeah,
Giannis,
good rim
they
protector.
have Portis, they have all these guys that can throw at you that
Mhm.
you do not want to see in the paint. So like taking that into account for like what Brunson wants to do, and then like what Julius Randle can do. Like Randle can shoot the three, Brunson can shoot the three, but
Mhm.
like where they do most of their damage is like that mid range paint area.
True.
So it's like where's that like lethal outside threat? Like like Grimes is a great 3-point shooter,
Yeah.
but am I putting him as Klay Thompson? Obviously not.
Yeah.
Like so it's like how much of that 3 and D can Anunoby provide that,
Mhm.
like, elevates their ceiling above the Bucks and the Celtics? Like, I struggle to say he can confidently do that. So, um, that's the angle I'm taking at it. But for, like, the Raptors in particular, it's kind of like a low risk move.
Oh yeah.
Um, like, obviously, you probably wanted to get a draft pick with, like, quickly and RJ Barrett if you could,
Mhm.
but, like, now RJ Barrett's, like, in a new scenery where
Yeah.
he can be the primary option, and then, like, quickly has shown flashes, like and Toronto's been looking to, like, secure that point guard position where,
Mhm.
like, quickly has the potential to be the starter there.
Oh,
So,
for sure.
it's a definite I like that move for the Raptors, to pair up with Poto, so it's I don't obviously, like, you don't wanna lose Anunoby, but
Yeah.
for the Raptors, you're kind of looking futuristically, so
Mhm.
because of that, I'm not too worried.
Yeah, I think it's also big for it's really good for RJ Barrett. I mean, he is from Toronto. He's always been a Raptors fan, so just a new scenery like you said. Just especially I feel like you get those not like memes, but just like we all know like the Knicks fans. They're like so crazy and so amped up. Kind of like LA Laker fans or LA fans in general that are like super hard on their team. I feel like that might have
Oh,
affected RJ.
they, like, RJ Barrett was so controversial there, like,
Mhm.
he's one of the most polarizing figures on the Knicks.
Yeah.
Like, not as much as, like, Julius Randle, but, like
Julius Randle just has the craziest streaks. But yeah.
but, like, I think as a Knicks fan, it's gotta hurt to lose quickly because, like, quickly
No.
was, like, a fan favorite, so, like,
Oh yeah.
that's kinda like the move where it's like you don't wanna lose him, but, like, you're getting Anunoby, so, like,
Mhm.
it's an upgrade. Don't get us wrong by, like I sound very pessimistic when I give my analysis, but, like, Anunoby's, like, an upgrade.
Mhm.
I just wanna see how the team fit looks like because it is this, like, second game.
No, yeah.
So, uh, there we
There's
go from there. Yep. Another polarizing figure right now for Brooklyn is Cam Thomas because he is the leading scorer of the Nets, but he ends up getting benched, and I think he was replaced with Dorian Finney-Smith, former
Yeah.
Maverick. Um, but what do you
Very
think this means for the Brooklyn Nets? The fact
yeah.
that Cam Thomas was benched.
I don't know. I mean, if I'm really like taking it all the way, kind of like sprinting with this information and going, I mean, benching your top scorer, maybe they're thinking of tanking. I know I've heard stuff where it's like the Nets really are in like sort of a you're either going to be completely mediocre like in the playoffs, but not gonna, for sure not going to do anything, or you kind of blow it up. And they have the assets to do that, right? They have assets like yeah, Mikal Bridges, uh not Cam Thomas, Cam Johnson, uh Dennis Smith Jr., guys that have really kind of like played well with this team recently, and Cam Thomas as well. But it could be a thought that they're looking into the future as well, kind of like the not where the Raptors are, because the Raptors have been kind of in this position since 21, where they had had to play in Tampa and then eventually got Scotty Barnes. Um, Maybe that's what they're thinking. I don't know. They're not that bad. They
How
would have
did
to
I
really.
forget about Scotty Barnes, man? What the he's kind of like the best player on the team.
Yeah,
Oh my god. I just completely overlooked him.
it's tough. Yeah, yeah. I feel like he's kind of low key, especially being on the Raptors,
Right.
not USA team. But anyway, that's what could happen. I think they could kind of lean into a rebuild, which would be kind of sad to see. I mean, going from that was it 2019 Nets team, the Nets team with Dar or not Darian, D'Angelo Russell.
James Harden, KD, and Kyrie.
Well, like before that, when you had the D'Lo, like he made an All-Star team, and everyone was happy, like, oh, it's a fun team, and
Oh
then
yeah, with Kenny Atkinson at the
mhm,
coach.
and then they bring the All-Stars, and then it doesn't work, and now they're back here, kind of where they were before that D'Lo All-Star. So kind of interesting how it all works out.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to if I was like the Nets GM, I wouldn't want to blow it up
No,
because that's kind of what they already did by trading
hmm
Durant,
yeah,
right? Like the idea in getting Mikal Bridges and Cam Johnson was like kind of restart that clock
hmm
with like two up and coming guys that can be the centerpiece of your team.
yeah.
And if you just trade them away now, it's kind of like
What do you
you're
do?
admitting the move didn't work again. And then like for Sean Marks, it's just like, is that like a fireable move now because you oversaw like two major changes of the team
Yeah,
and not progress hasn't been made? So like I would want to, I would probably leave the team as is. It's you're gonna feel sick going through like this rebuild phase.
yeah,
Don't get me wrong, but I think for Cam Thomas, this might be for the betterment because yes, he is the leading scorer on this team, but as much scoring as there is, and it is a focal point,
hmm
like in the NBA, you want to have a well-rounded game too. Because if you get in foul trouble or if you start like defending poorly, like how that limits so much of your scoring. Like, and Thomas has been like extremely efficient. I think there's this one stat I saw. He had 15 points in 24 minutes against the Wizards. So
jeez.
like he has no problem like scoring the ball. Like
No, yeah,
that's his greatest strength. But
he,
I think for the development of other parts
mhm,
and other parts of his game and then like seeing how it has an overall team impact is gonna help him because he's had some maturity issues going into this league. Like it's a reason why I wasn't like been like thrust in the shooting guard position next to Irving, Durant, and James Harden. And
true.
even though like it's these stars have had their own issues being divas, but
hmm
like Cam Thomas, I think is one of those guys where like it's gonna take time for him to realize, and he's handled it pretty well from
hmm
what I read. But this is like a move where it's like it sucks now for him professionally, but like
Yeah,
it's gonna help him later on.
yeah. I think he also kind of needs to work on being a better defender. That's something, yeah, he kind of struggles with. But he's a young player; he can get into that. So
Mhm.
hoping the best for him.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So with that, the Pistons finally break the curse. I feel so bad for Cade.
Yeah,
I kept tabs on the Celtics and the Pistons game,
that
and
was a
I
good
thought the
game.
Pistons would have it until it
Uh,
went to OT. So, um, I mean, I wish I bet on the Pistons winning because I was probably going to bet at some point that would they would win. But
yeah,
finally, they they didn't set a new record for the longest losing streak, so that was a good sign.
mm,
Um, and they ended it by coincidentally beating the Raptors in the home game, 129 to 127. Um, they lost 28 straight games before that. And I mean, the way they reacted should tell you everything. I think Monty Williams said he never seen a team so overjoyed after a game, and
yeah.
it's kind of like the dam broke for these guys once they started winning.
hmm
So hopefully it's such a trend. But um, what says you about like what you've seen from the Pistons? Like,
Yeah, I watched that Celtics Pistons game. I also watched the Celtics or not Celtics, the Pistons Nets game, which I think was a game like 2 games before that, before they won. And I mean, they're wow, they weren't terrible. Like they were in, especially the Nets game, they were in that game, and then Nets kind of just pulled it out at the end with some really good shot making and playmaking. So I think a big part of it is just Cade being surrounded by guys who couldn't really shoot. Bojan Bogdanovic couldn't play for a lot of those games, and he's a big part of their spacing. So the fact that Cade really has had to like put the whole team on his back and just to barely keep losing, I think is going to be big just for his development. Just to see like he's going to start at his level where he's playing really well, but his team can't really sustain or like improve upon that. So we'll see. We'll see how he goes. I'm excited because he was still balling. He was still balling, even though I think in that Nets game he had like 40 something points. So it's good experience in a way, but it's definitely tough in the moment.
Yeah, I mean, their two Nets game, they lost by a combined
Mhm.
17 points, so they were like right there. They were like a couple possessions away.
Yeah.
Um, I think when you look at the state of their roster, like they just got Asor Thomas, they got
Oh
Livers,
yeah.
they got him. Obviously you mentioned Bogdanovich, and then you have Bagley. They have like solid players,
Hmm.
but I think it's more because they're young, they're learning how to win.
Yeah.
And like as I've taken a look at the rest of their schedule here, they're facing Utah. Um, that's a winnable game.
Hmm.
Well, maybe not for the Mavericks, but
Sadly.
that's a winnable game. Then they go up against Golden State and Denver, so it might be tough, and then like Sacramento, but they do face the Spurs, so like um, there are some winnable games in their slate where I
Mhm.
don't see this happening again to
Hopefully
the
not.
Pistons. But like if we learned anything about Monty Williams, like he's a great coach. He's an
Yeah.
excellent coach. I think he just got caught in this like weird spot of like
Hmm.
trying to trying to coach superstars like after building the team up.
Yeah.
He's kind of like he got Kenny Atkinson, I feel like. So
Hmm.
like he can do the same thing to what he did to the Suns for this Pistons. I think this
Yeah.
is kind of like Pistons tasting bad medicine now, and it's gonna reap like the healing process for them like as they get later into the season.
No, yeah, it could definitely. I mean, that was one thing that kind of confused me is how bad they were given a coach that had taken the team to the finals to almost win. Like Monty Williams is definitely a good coach, and he's been put through. He knows what he needs to do. So I was kind of surprised how bad they were, but I guess it's more of a fact of like how like unmeshed, I guess, or like how these guys just hadn't been like really like they don't know exactly how to win yet. So
Yeah, if you take a look at their roster, like I think from counting correctly, like they have 6 people that were traded
oh
on
yeah,
their team, like within the past year. Like yeah, Monty Morris, then you have
true.
James Wiseman, then you have Alec Burks a little bit over a year, I guess. You have Marvin Bagley, you got Joe Harris, and you got Bogdanovich from last year
Yeah.
September. And then you pair that with a bunch of like top 10 picks with
Hmm.
Cunningham, obviously, Killian Hayes,
Jaden
Oscar
Ivey.
Thompson this year, Isaiah Livers, number 42 pick, um, Jaden Ivey, you mentioned. But when you look at all these guys, it's like they got these guys from everywhere.
Hmm.
And usually it's like a majority of it's like free agency or trades. Like it's not a lot of like draft picks that
Yeah.
or like trades alone, you know. So it's kind of like building that foundation and building the Pistons to be a free agent destination. And
Hmm.
right now they're not at that spot, so they're kind of like puzzle piecing this together. So their team building strategy is uh, definitely interesting. And for that kind of situation, it's gonna take time. Like, did I anticipate the Pistons being 3-30? No,
No.
no, definitely not. But it's not the end of the world with this team. I don't think we had this team as like with playoff aspirations. We might have been a little bit lofty with like how young their roster is, but like
Yeah.
I don't remember what our prediction was for the Pistons, but
Yeah. I don't know either. I have
yeah.
no idea what.
Um, I don't think we had them in the playoffs because like everybody's still young, but
No.
I think we are pretty confident Cade would have a good season. So like,
Yeah.
um,
I mean, he's getting there.
yeah,
So it's something. We'll see how they go. Hopefully they
yeah.
don't go on another losing streak.
Yeah, I mean, I they should be able to beat the Spurs and the
Yeah,
Jazz.
that's true.
We'll see what happens. Spurs have also had their toughest schedule, like the toughest schedule of all
Mm,
NBA teams. So like,
yeah.
could be a chance there. But Bulls are in the lead. They have a 7 point lead now on the New York Knicks.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
pretty excited about that. Just the broadcast is showing like the Knicks and the Raptors trade details. So
Mm.
I think the Knicks got Malachi Flynn too.
Yeah,
So
he's kind of rotation player,
okay.
so he's okay. But Yeah, Mavs are up by 18 with the Kyrie lay. That might be an and one. Looks like an and one.
So I
Oh,
mean, what I'm hearing is Kyrie is the savior now.
yep, basically.
Okay. Well, that wraps it up for us. Kind of a quick episode here, but we hope you guys enjoyed it. We're gonna have a lot more insights next week for you. Um, a lot of fun watching Drummond make free throws. So I'm really excited about that. But if you haven't already, follow us on the Amana Mission channel
Yes, sir.
on Instagram. Diego's pointing at it down below. It's
Lock it in.
Amana Mission separated by periods. On the YouTube channel, make sure to follow us, give us a like, give us a comment. We are looking to make a lot of changes. You're going to see a lot more shorts out of us from Instagram and YouTube. So be prepared for that. So if you can't watch the whole thing, we have a couple of our funny segments or like recorded segments you want to see. But with that, we'll catch you next week. Peace out.
See ya.